This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 372. How to choose your off-road kit.
Tonight, Aaron tests his generator by plugging in a fork. Jeremy can't wheel his Jeep, and Ben gets more stuff.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, the podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. Your hosts tonight are Aaron, Jeremy, and my name is Ben. And yes, indeed, we do like corn, especially Aaron.
That doesn't make any sense unless you were there before the show.
Oh, it's popular enough. I think enough people know that it's all about.
Yeah, hopefully people know the corn song.
I didn't.
And if you don't, after the show is over, go to YouTube and type in corn song.
Don't do
corn,
it.
C-O-R-N, corn.
No, it's corn, K-O-R-N.
No, different.
The Weekend Review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off.
So, guess what? I need my first aid kit again today.
What did you do?
Oh, it wasn't for me, actually. So the kids were playing with some of their neighbor friends, and there was a head-on collision. So I ran out, and I was like, okay, let's see what we can do here. And we just had a skinned knee, and he needed an ice pack. So fortunately, I have a box full of those disposable ice packs.
Oh, nice.
Because I keep one or two in my first aid kit, depending upon the kit I have, because of the incident where my son got a black eye playing soccer. So I just started I bought a box of them. It was cheaper that way because it was like, at the time, I think it was like $13 for a big box of them versus paying like $1 for one. And there's like 20 something in that box. So they're handy.
Yeah. Used it today.
Yep.
Tim, that's the wrong corn song. So try again. Well, I'm glad you didn't need the first aid kit.
I've been injury free, knocking on some wood.
Yeah.
Because I got stuff to do.
A first aid kit wouldn't have helped me today, but I guess it could have. I tripped going down some attic stairs at a job site, and I had my arms up in the attic still, and so I caught myself, but it pulled something in my shoulder, so a little sore there.
Ice pack.
I guess I could have iced it. I did take some ibuprofen, so I guess I could have used a first aid kit, ice pack and ibuprofen. So yeah, Eric wants to know how long those ice packs last.
Like 5-10 minutes.
Oh, that's all? Okay.
Yeah, they're just the little ones. They're like that big.
Gotcha.
They have bigger ones that you can get, but it's just a little one. It's about a
kids
month.
Don't know.
Yeah,
honestly, it's 5 minutes is all a kid needs, anyways.
Exactly. And I mean, I've used them, and you can get them to last longer. Like if you've got it wrapped with a towel, that's going to help insulate it and kind of keep that cold in there. Oh, how long do they store? I don't know. I've had that box for 3 years and they still work. I imagine they'd at least last 5 years. It's like the chemicals inside a little bubbly pack, and you pop it, and then it mixes and makes it cold.
Yeah. I'm sure they have an expiration date that isn't really an expiration date on them. Yeah. Well, Ben, have you done anything else besides using your first aid kit this week?
Well, I'm in the process of a couple things. So I mentioned siding on my house. That's actually, the materials are getting dropped off this week, and it's gonna start getting sided this Wednesday or Thursday, I think he said. As soon as they finish getting all taken care of, and then we lost Jeremy. So that got rid of one project, and it was a whole lot cheaper than I was expecting. So my shop fund is a little better, well packed.
That's good.
And I'm going to go check out this place that builds like, they're not pole barns, because I think this route might be a little cheaper and still get me what I want. It's like the metal, they do, what are they called? Carports, like the metal ones, but they also do garages. And then I will build my garage and have a studio in it.
Yeah, so it's like halfway between a carport and a pole barn is how I would explain it.
It's like a U-Haul storage unit.
Yeah.
Is almost what it's like that's the quality of it, I would say, with the roll-up doors and all that. So I'm gonna have to do some insulation. I imagine I'll probably have to build 4 walls to insulate it. I'm not sure how well those walls will insulate, the metal walls. I'll find out as I go. Well, I'm still researching it, figuring out if that's the route I'm gonna go, because I'm gonna try and speed up the process and like do some of the permitting myself to make things move faster. Because I know if you have other people doing the permitting for you, it'll move a little slower. So,
Well, their website said you had to do all the permitting anyway. So,
so there's the place in Sumner that I was telling you about that we were looking at. They actually do the permitting and they actually help with the they don't. I don't know if they do the permitting. They help with the permitting, but they do concrete too. So,
are they called garages, etc.?
No, it's what's it called? Sheds for less or something like that.
Okay.
Go in the house. Sorry, I had a visitor. And then the other thing is so I talked to you about this. No one else is. This is my grandpa's Jeep truck. It was last registered in 1995. That was the last time it drove. The rear diff started going out, and it got parked because Grandpa was going to fix it later, and we all know how that goes. Well, it was offered to me because my dad's moving. And at first I was like, no, I thought about it. Aaron and I talked to it and it was like, no, probably shouldn't do it. Then I heard a story and it made me change my mind. Even made my wife change her mind. She actually got behind it.
Wow.
So this Jeep was also, before it was my grandpa's, was my great grandpa's. And they drove down to Chile and back with it. I mean,
Chili's like the restaurant?
No, Chile like the country, South America.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, if you want an overland vehicle, that's the OG overlander right there, apparently.
That would be OG overlanding for sure.
So this is the truck I grew up going fishing in and all that. So I talked to my wife and she was like, and then I was on the phone with my dad. And she's like, she looked over at me and she's like, you know what? If you really do want it, yep, you just got to get rid of your dad's Jeep that's in the yard. And the only reason it's still in the yard is because I haven't fixed it yet. So I'm going to fix it. And Grandpa's Jeep's getting fixed. I've got permission. So it's coming home. You get what I mean now after having that conversation?
Yep.
It's like, okay, there's enough sentimental value to say, you know what? Yep, it needs to come home. All right. Because I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to fix stuff or not. So yeah. So garage is on the way and Jeep trucks gotta be picked up by the end of the month. I haven't brought it home yet, and so I've got to get that handled. But I've also got
don't you have AAA be like, hey, I ran out of gas again?
My goodness, that would be hilarious. I wonder if I could get Rick's AAA. No, you know, Eric's commenting here, drive it to Chile if I get it fixed, and that would be epic. And so I don't know. For now, I'm calling it Project Grandpa Truck. I don't know if I'll lift it or do anything crazy to it. I think I'm gonna go as far as stripping it down all the way, because looking at it, it looks like it needs to be stripped down all the way.
I would just pressure wash it and run the patina for a while.
Oh well, yeah, no, I'm talking like checking out the frame. I've got to
Oh, okay.
drop the
Okay.
gas tank.
Mechanical wise. Okay.
Mechanically, yeah. No, I'm gonna clean up the interior, because that's a little rough right there.
Yeah.
Like 30 years rough of, so yeah. But I mean, it's so cool. And that camper, I sat in the back of that so many times, like every
Mhm.
weekend over the course of between the ages of 3 and 7. So I think 7. I don't know. How old was I in 95? Yeah, that would have been about 7 or 8. So yeah, Project Grandpa truck. We'll see where it goes.
Kevin says at least yarn in the Midwest it'd be only rust. And Eric says the wire harness has 6 wires total, so that is easy to upgrade.
Oh yeah, I there's so many things I can fix with that. Jeremy totally
Yeah.
knows this whole thing, so he doesn't know what's going on.
I don't. Word to the wise, don't upgrade your internet right before the show starts, because then they switch off your internet in order to upgrade you.
Oh, that's why you just went dark.
Yes.
I was like, well, Jeremy had an emergency. He's got to go.
All of a sudden, it was like, oh, and I can't see anybody. Oh, great. What happened?
I just figured Jeremy went to Chili's also.
I didn't hear the joke about chili, so I'll have to catch it.
You'll have to listen to it now.
Listen to it to catch back up.
Yep. So, yep, that's Project Grandpa truck, and we'll see how long that takes. Probably forever, because I've got a million projects, and I added one more because why not?
And how? So you're already filling up the garage again, eh?
Yeah, but
He's filling up the new garage that he doesn't have built yet.
Yeah.
it's
When
a
are you gonna have that built?
Well, so just real quickly for you, that's my great grandpa's truck, and he drove it down to Chile, and that was enough to get my wife convinced to let me bring it home.
Not Chili, the restaurant.
South America,
Chile.
Chile.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be that. I'll probably have a lot more to talk about it once it comes home, but I've got to get that figured out. And I'm in the middle of having to do a bunch of stuff to the house real quick before the siding guy comes, because they're dropping off the siding tomorrow, and I have to have it's coming a lot quicker than I thought it was. So is what it is. What about you, Aaron?
Well, I got the roof finished on my shop this past weekend. I needed to put the gable trim on so that I could put the peak metal on. So I got that done. Oh yeah, I got pictures. So you can see I got the ridge cap and the gable trim is on. So, and you can see in the background, it's a little hazy. We had a red flag event here in the Pacific Northwest, not just my area, but the whole Pacific Northwest. I shouldn't say the whole West Coast is probably better. And because of that, PGE, which is our electricity provider, said we're going to be shutting your power off on Friday, and it'll come back on when it comes back on.
Ouch.
Yeah, no anything, no update, no nothing.
Did they say like because of wind or just because it was red flag?
So with the red flag event, you've got wind, hot temperatures, and dry ground, and you can see our field in the background in this picture. It's mostly brown. So
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it's definitely dry out there. So what happens is the wind blows, it knocks trees down, trees hit power lines spark, arc, and start fires. And that's actually that's how that fire started 2 years ago near my house, just north of my house. So yeah, so they cut the power so that if trees do fall and knock power lines down, they won't start things on fire. And thankfully there were no fires because of that. There were still some other fires, and I would say that because people were without power and they didn't have to fight all these other fires, they were able to get these. They didn't have to fight the electrical fires. They were able to put the regular fires out. So Tim wants to know if I won the red flag event. I would say that I won because I grew in my preparedness levels. So, or says, or is that just the events you put on? Yeah. No, I didn't put this event on, but I learned we had to run generators to keep our refrigerators and our deep freezes going. And we also have a brand new crop of meat chickens out in the barn, and they're only like a week old. And so at nighttime, even though it's super hot during the day, at nighttime they need heat lamps. So we had to run a generator at night to keep them warm, to keep the heat lamps going. There.
Commented about in Oklahoma they would have the red flag event since May if that was the criteria, and they don't have that. But we have a bit more trees up here.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think is there trees in Oklahoma?
There's
I think they just grow wheat. Maybe they have tall wheat. I don't know.
But
So-
we've been
And they only did shut the power off to rural areas because that's where there's more trees. They didn't shut the power off to cities and things like that. So there's some conspiracy theories out there that people are like, oh, it's PGE's trying to come down on the conservatives out in the country, and it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
We've been pretty fortunate overall so far up here with the fires. I mean, we've got 2-3 active fires right now, big fires in our state, but I mean, they really didn't start until late August. I mean, the years before we were having fire in June, July.
What did we lose Ben?
No,
time?
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that-
I don't know. I'm not sure why our videos keep rotating every time we click on a comment to pop a comment up. So Eric says that they've got the whole southeast of Oklahoma is a forest. So we're just kidding about those middle states. So, and no, Eric, I have legitimate chickens, not some other crop growing with heat lamps. And Tim, like I said, there's 50 of them. It's hard to sit on 50 chickens to keep them warm.
I've got a your mom joke, but I can't think of it right now. And it looks like Jeremy just froze.
Yeah.
It's that new internet he's got.
I don't know.
You were frozen, but at least you had a smile on while you were frozen. Well, Jeremy, why don't you tell us? Yeah, nice try. Why don't you tell us what you've been up to before you freeze and we lose you again?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe every time I talk, I'll freeze now. So my wife's car's in the shop getting transmission work done. So I had the issue
What?
over the weekend. And I thought it was probably a bad idea in case I broke the Jeep somehow. Then we were down to no cars.
No cars and a
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Figured my wife wouldn't like that very much, so I
Probably not.
invitation to go wheeling and just
So you don't have a sidecar for your dual sport so that you can fit the whole thing?
my dual sport isn't working. Remember?
Oh
No, I didn't remember that.
no, didn't remember that at all.
It was a while ago. I mean, that was like back in February.
So
I would have assumed it would have been fixed by now.
It takes
So
a-
you still have that sheared off crankshaft, something or another?
yeah, not sector shaft. I always want to call it a sector shaft. It's a
No.
I can't remember.
So right now you're driving your Jeep to work?
No, I bought a new bike, but not a
Oh.
dual.
Oh, okay. You've got a sport bike now?
It's a cruiser, not a sport bike.
Oh, he's in a biker gang. That's why I was missing.
He is. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Makes
Van
sense.
over there.
I was.
He's been
Yes, Tim. I have no other time to fix vehicles because I own a Jeep.
Jeremy's got the prospect patch on his back now because he's got a cruiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it. Sons of
He's not a
Anarchy.
not a full-fledged member yet.
Nope. I got to murder somebody first. So
Man, if I knew that that's what you're supposed to do when something breaks, you just buy a new something and just park it. I could have been ahead a long time ago.
How many of the how many Toyotas would I own by now?
a lot.
Yeah.
Well, broke it. Time for a new one.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, it was mainly because the price to have it fixed way exceeded the price of the bike.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that makes
I
more
could have
sense.
done it myself, but it's like a pretty extensive rebuild, and I just haven't had the time to go and do it. So
So
I
you'll
wonder.
spend the winter rebuilding it? Well, like you did your Jeep?
well, the other problem with it is it's really hard to find the right part because the bike's too old.
Mm.
Countershaft, that's what it's called.
Counter shaft. Okay.
And so you can really only find them like used, and I don't want to buy a used one and spend all that time rebuilding the engine.
What if you bought an entire used engine?
I don't know.
Tim says, Ben, comma, Toyotas don't break. Your sentence structure is really wrong there, Tim. It should say Ben's Toyotas break.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I'm the guy that takes that whole Toyota reliability thing, and I'd be like, have you met Ben? That's all you have to say in the conversation. Have you met Ben? You
Have
should
you
meet Ben.
Drive?
Huh?
Have you seen Ben drive?
Yeah. It's there's this whole conversation you could have with a person. Be like, have you meet
Yeah.
my friend Ben? He'll show you Toyota reliability. So
Well, I'm no better. The last time I took my Nissan on a trip was our snow camping trip, so I'm just as bad.
I'm not much better. So
It'll be now that the roof is on the shop, it'll get tucked in the shop soon and I'll start tearing it apart. So
yeah, I've got a bundle of things I'm gonna have to do, and I think I may have to do my steering rack, my rack. So I'm not looking forward to that.
yeah. And you're right, Tim. Ben's Toyota did have 900,000 miles on it when he bought it, so
I mean, that's
it's
pretty cool. I mean,
it's rolled over to 200 and something now.
so it went all the way past 1 million or 100.
Yeah.
No, not 100,000.
No, 1 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was right. The first time.
Actually, I was doing some math. I've almost put 100,000 on the Forerunner. I'll probably do it next year.
In 1 year.
I'll hit the 100,000 that I've bought it since I bought it.
Yeah.
So that'll be. I don't know if that'll be exciting or.
I don't think that's exciting.
You don't think it's exciting that I owned a vehicle and put that many miles on it in 5 years?
No.
No, it needs more
A
miles.
lot of miles.
Yeah.
That's a lot of miles in 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's going to Montana multiple times, South Dakota twice.
I think I've put 120,000 miles on my Frontier. 120. No, I don't think I've put 120 on it. And I've had it for 14 years.
Tim says he's had
no,
his Jeep for
12
4.5
years.
and put
12
8
years.
years on it. It's because it's been
Well, it's because it's been broken. Yep.
No, if I wouldn't have lost had the head gasket, because that it sat for like 6 months with a blown head gasket,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would be really close to that 100,000 with driving back and forth to work.
For Ben having driven that 100,000 miles, I have not heard him talking about doing like oil changes nearly enough for.
No, I heard him talk about it. I heard him talk about it one time.
Yeah, one time in 5 years and 100,000 miles.
Every 5,000 miles, I just did one the other day. Actually, didn't you guys? Did I tell you about the stripped out bolt on the
Yeah,
rear diff? Yeah,
yeah.
I still gotta get that fixed. I'll wait a few years.
So Ben, can you really tell me you've changed the oil 20 times in the last 5 years?
Not 20 times, but I've changed it.
Then you haven't been changing it every 5,000 miles.
Well, no, I haven't hit 100. I'm only at like 70,000 miles.
Whoa, that's a huge change.
But I'm doing like 25 a year with trips and all that.
No.
25,000 times 5 is 125,000 miles.
Okay. All right. Well, I can't math. So I'm doing like 4 oil changes a year. Basically, once a season, I do an oil change.
Okay.
Tim says he has a broken bolt in his rear diff cover also. It's been that way for 3 years. You guys are like brothers. I saw a picture of Tim today. I think you guys are brothers from
It
another
could be.
mother.
I mean, that would explain why he lives in Arizona. I'd want to get away from me too.
Misters from another sister or something. I don't know. I don't know how all those things go.
Oh, well.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month. So our Patch of the Month came. There it is. It's Lady Liberty. And she's ready to put the smackdown on. She's got her brass knuckles. She's got her night vision. And she's holding what I believe is an M1 Garand. But it's got like the PEQ laser designator on it. Which is I guess helpful if you're shooting with night vision. And it turns out there's a companion patch that showed up with that bad boy. It's Justice, Liberty's sister, well endowed sister. She's got that trench shotgun, the bayonet on it.
Yeah, that's I like that because at first I was like, these look really similar, and then you like realize missing the crown, and then Justice is blind.
Yeah. Eric says it looks like an M14. That could really be. I don't have. Oh yeah, you know what? Because it has a magazine, it would not be. It would not be a Garand. It would. It makes more sense to be an M14. So
yeah.
I'll go with that. Absolutely. So they both are wearing load bearing vests and extra magazines and things like that. So yeah, really cool. Check out Patriot Patch. But beyond that, we've got our off-road podcast patches. If you don't have one, besides Jeremy, if you don't have one, write into us. We're going to keep ignoring Jeremy. And then, of course, you can get our companion patch, the Lumen Locker patch. Glow in the dark Lumen Locker patch. Yeah. Pretty sweet. Eric, you are not. Eric wants to know why he didn't get Justice. You are not special enough, or sponsored by Patriot Patch. That's why you didn't get it. So I'm assuming it's on their website. You can yes, probably buy it separately.
Yeah, it's a separate patch that is open to buy versus having to go out and get. It doesn't come as part of Patch of the Month Club, so it's like another reason to buy another patch. So you have the companion patch with the Patch of the Month.
Yes, and the good news, Eric, is the headliner in your Nissan probably is the same material as the headline in my Nissan, and so these patches will stick like nobody's business up there.
They won't be like mine that fall off all the time.
Yeah.
Which did I mention my sister borrowing my 4Runner?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were talking this weekend, her fiance and I, and he's like, I didn't realize how many patches you had. And I laughed at him. I'm like, I still have a whole toolbox full in the garage. Plus I have a patch panel on the front door. So like if I find a patch around the house because it got drug in with a piece of clothing or I get the patch of the month. I'll stick it up there till I get a chance to take it out to the Forerunner. So I've just got like a whole patch panel on the front door, like stuffed right now because I haven't emptied it in a while.
Yep. Well, our patches are $13 each shipped if you want, and that's in the US shipping prices. And if you want any additional, $10 flat fee per additional one. Or if you are around, you want to swing by Ben's place or my place and pick them up or meet us in public. We can hand them to you for $10 in person.
I don't bite, I swear.
Yep. Yeah, so hit us up. You can send us the money through our PayPal off-road podcast at paypal.com. So yeah.
And then look forward to those.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
I feel so stupid. I was looking for the button.
Where were you looking for the button?
The wrong page.
Tim says he'll take one for $10 personally delivered to Arizona. I think you're a truck driver, Tim. Just drive up here. Drive the truck, do your job. Drive truck driver.
We'll if you pay for me to come down, I will deliver you patches.
That sounds good too. I'm sure there's lots of fun places to wheel down there. I mean, Tim wouldn't know, his Jeep's always in the garage, but I'm sure we could talk to other people down there that aren't Jeep Club members and find places to wheel.
I think that'll work.
Yeah, I actually Arizona's on my list right now of places I want to go. But that list is very long and goes kind of like this. It's like, oh, I want to go here and here and here and here. But I don't want to go here right now. I want to go here first.
He says he can only afford Forerunner gas.
It's understandable.
If you pay me what it would take to drive down in a Forerunner, I will go ahead and talk to that.
All right. Well, our first news story here is about the Rivian, and this is an all-electric news episode, by the way. The Rivian gets a camp mode. So it says it's got a battery save deep sleep mode. It levels the vehicle within 6.5 inches of vertical travel. So right now I would assume that it couldn't level it enough in the picture that you got up on the screen, because he's going down a hill that looks like a little more than 6.5 inches of vertical travel. The internal display go ahead.
I think that's with 6.5 inches of vertical travel. If it only leveled within 6.5 inches, that's not very level.
I think each shock has an up and down, or each corner can move 6.5 inches up or down. I don't know.
I know. Aaron said within 6.5 inches.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if the back was 6 inches high.
Oh, I'm thinking of it as a tolerance, like it'll be level within 6.5 inches.
Oh, I see. No, I was saying like if your front end or your back end is 6.5 inches high, it can level it up to that amount.
Got it.
Like it could squat all the back or squat all the front or side to side. Yeah. The internal display shuts off. Says internal floodlights in mirrors help illuminate the camp. So it's got built-in floodlights. A lot of cars actually have that. In fact, my F-150 has that. So
the
it's not that amazing.
And they're not really bright usually. No,
but I mean, honestly, I've set up bright camp lights and it's too obnoxious. So dim ones are good. It says Rivian's already come with a detachable speaker that doubles as a lantern or flashlight. I guess that's if you hear light, or maybe it has a light bulb built in. I'm not sure.
I'm sure it has a light bulb built in. Oh, it's got a little display that you can use as a light.
The display. And then it says Rivian has put many things to woo the off-road community, including a training class with off-road instructors. So
Yeah.
I've actually been seeing quite a few Rivians out there in the off-road world, and we know that the Rivian, you could get that camp kitchen thing built in the back too. So they're kind of doing a lot of cool overlandy things. I watched a video this week of the Rivian truck, and this guy had a steel ball bearing the size of a tennis ball, and he set it on the tonneau cover of the truck, and it started to roll away. And then he grabbed it real quick. He went to the truck, pushed a button, and it takes, I think, 90 seconds to level the truck, up to 90 seconds. Push the button, fast forward through the video. He goes and he sets the ball bearing on the back, and it's level. So ball bearing doesn't move.
That's pretty
Yeah.
neat.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I saw was Bill Burke. I think he lives in like Colorado or something like that. He's like one of
Yeah.
those famous overlander Land Rover guys, and he put on a big class with like 20 of the Rivians, and he was praising how awesome it was. Now he could have been paid to say that. I don't know, but
No, he has one, and he drives it around.
so yeah, it sounds like he really likes it then. So I
Yeah.
don't know, for what his opinion's worth. I mean, I try not value other people's opinions too much. Just ask Aaron.
Yeah. Well,
Go ahead.
I just mean as in a because they could be paid for it and all that.
I was just looking at the Rivian camp kitchen
That is
setup,
Mhm.
and that's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
In its tray. For growth.
So the cooktop is actually an inverter style inverter induction. I knew it started with an I. So it's an electric cooktop in induction style. I don't know if that uses less electricity or not, but
It does. So it uses magnetism to heat up. So you have to have magnetic cookware. It's actually we have an induction range in our house. So it doesn't actually get hot. It uses magnetism to make the pot hot. So the pot heats up, not the cooktop.
yeah.
Yeah.
Eric says that Bill was a Camel Trophy participant. He's legit. He gives great classes. I actually bought a couple of his training videos on DVD probably 10 years ago, and they were probably produced 10 years prior to me buying them, so they were a little outdated. I mean, still good information, but they were definitely you could tell they were produced way back in the day. So, yeah. Tim
And
says if we sell all of our rigs, we could almost afford a Rivian and then timeshare it.
there we go.
Not wrong. Not wrong. I mean, with as little as we wheel, anyways, right?
Yeah, it'd be perfect until we all want to go on the same trip, right?
Well, then we all pile in together.
Oh yeah, true enough. And then what about snow camping? Who's sleeping with who?
You bring tents.
Okay, there we go.
Well, he says dibs on the turn after Aaron. Tim, you don't want it for the turn after Ben? All right, Ben. Speaking of Ben, why don't you take this next article?
All right.
So I was trying to figure out how. So the electric range uses 1,440 watts per hour, and the battery size on the Rivian is only 135 kilowatt hours.
So you have what, one use out of it for 10 minutes?
I mean, you could have 135. It's kilowatt hours and watt hours. Then.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yeah, kilowatt.
I'm trying to decide if that's enough to worry you or not.
It depends upon your trip. Kind of like Eric just said here. I'm gonna have to pass on battery powered overlanding because I imagine refilling in the woods might be a little hard.
Well, you just have to camp long enough that solar panels will charge it. 28 days in one spot sounds great to me.
That does sound great. Or every other day you stop at a campground with hookups.
I mean, that would be kind of the way to do it. If you're going to do it, would be campgrounds with hookups. Because don't some of the hookups are like 240?
I don't know. I've never camped at a campground with. Well, I've never used hookups at a campground, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm gonna move on to this next story here. Because you may have seen it, you may not have. Jeep has announced its next set of vehicles, and I strictly remember us talking about Jeep trademarking the Recon name, and we thought it was because of the trim model that they used at least for a little bit there with the Wranglers. Well, it turns out they're using it for a electric off-road Jeep. They're calling it the Jeep Recon. It's a fully electric, non-removable top, but it can fully open like a Sunrider style. Doesn't really give a good shot. Oh, here we go. So it'll retract like that. It looks like the windows in the back pop off. I don't know exactly what they got going on with that. To me, it kind of looks like a Bronco and a Jeep had a baby, and this is what it made. I kind of like it.
I can't tell how big it is. It looks smaller than a Wrangler. It's hard to tell.
They're claiming that it's supposed to be kind of that Wrangler-esque size.
Okay.
So it's,
I don't like how tall the hood is in this picture, only because I feel like Wranglers are known for having a low hood that's easy to look over, and if you're going to be off-roading it, that's an important feature.
Well, they've got cameras for everything now to replace all that. This is expected for 2024. Not a whole lot of information. The off-road capability is expected thanks to the Select terrain traction management systems they have. It's expected to have electronically locking axles. They also announced the Wrangler Wagoneer S and the Avenger that's going to be overseas. The Avenger kind of looks like a what's that other Jeep? The little one we have here, the Renegade. It kind of looks like what the Renegade should have looked like, and it's kind of like that size. I don't know. I like it. The Wagoneer has like this fastback thing, but it's supposed to have it's supposed to be a plug-in electric, kind of like the 4XEs are, or I guess like the 4XEs are, but it's supposed to have enough range to have, or supposed to have 500-mile range. They said something like New York to Toronto. No.
Yeah.
Alberta in
no, I'm pretty sure it was Toronto.
At 500 miles is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's kind of like the big thing that everyone's been talking about with these electric vehicles is a lack of range. Because like the 4XE Jeep, yes, it's 4X. Yes, it's hybrid, but the electric range is only 24 miles or something like that in full electric.
Well, that's pretty typical of
that's
the hybrid stuff.
It's like a hybrid. That. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm like. Well, it's a hybrid. That's what I would expect, is not to have huge range, and you make up for it with the low fuel cost. And when it's using both of them together, it's kind of help. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited for the Recon to see.
I'm optimistic. I want to see some videos of it doing Wrangler stuff. I want to. They didn't say anything about trail rated. I don't see a trail rated badge on any of the pictures. Or is that a trail rated badge in that upper corner right there? I can't tell.
That is one right there in the upper corner.
It's really small though. I feel like it's smaller than a trail rated badge normally is. So I don't know.
So I don't know. I'm excited for it. I am a little optimistic. But as we remember from Easter Jeep Safari, they had that all electric Wrangler, and I think that's kind of what this is coming off of. Is it's a mix between, what we want out of a Wrangler and what we want out of a Grand Cherokee for the size and all of it. That. So I don't know. The doors come off.
Yeah.
That's important to me. That's like the one thing I miss with my 4Runner. I could take off my doors, but it's a pain in the butt to take them back or to put them back on.
Just leave them off.
No. And they're structural, unlike the Jeeps. I mean, that's one thing that the in the Jeep it says the vehicle, they only are there to protect you from the elements. They're not structural. Versus in my Forerunner and all that, that's a part of the structure that's going to help protect me in a crash. And that's why I'm like, when I see people without their doors on, they're like, well, you should have bought a Jeep if you want your doors off for safety reasons. But not my cow or chicken. So have fun with that.
Yeah. Yep.
What did you just say about their wife?
I said, not my cow, not my chicken. You run your own farm.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
So this one is kind of going off the not mine, but yours. This is what this is all about. This is to help you choose your kit for your vehicle for your trip. So we're going to talk about some of the stuff and things to consider when we're talking about you and your stuff and getting you ready for the trail or whatever you're doing, be it overland or whatever. So
Yeah. Well, the first thing you got to start off with is to determine what type of wheeling are you going to do. So, are you just going to do Forest Service gravel trails to like campgrounds? You're going to do OHV park trails like Tahuya. You're going to go out where the country boys go and do the mud slinging, mud hole, bounty hole business. Are you going to snow wheel? You're going to go snow wheeling with the off-road podcast crew? Or are you going to do destination wheeling where you drive halfway across the country down to Arizona? Go wheeling down there. That'd be destination wheeling. You do some rock crawling. That's still, I mean, you can do rock crawling at the OHV park or at your destination wheeling, but maybe the rock crawling you're going to do isn't a destination or isn't at an OHV park. It's just a trail somewhere in the woods. So still kind of different. And then the last one would be the one you need the most gear for, hands down, would be mall crawling.
Yeah, but you got to mount it all on the exterior of your rig.
It needs to be seen. Everybody must know what you have.
Yes. Not just the stuff that doesn't fit or is too dirty to come in the vehicle. Everything.
Yeah.
And Tim says you're going to need to spend. Are you going to spend your time with in the ditches with Ben?
Then all you need is a bumper rope and a buddy to pull the ditch for you.
Yeah.
You need a lot of gear for that.
Yep.
And preferably some salsa.
I forgot about the salsa. I really did.
Yeah. Eric says that he'd pass on the mud bogging and on the rock crawling, but he has crawled a mall or two.
There you go.
Haven't we all?
Yep. Got to park cool in the mall. So one of the big things to consider is how long are you going? Because what are you going to need with that? Are you going to need more gear, less gear? Are you going to have room for all that gear?
Yeah. So like the destination wheeling, it's going to take you a while to drive there and a while to drive home. So you are probably going to want more gear in case you break while you're there so you can get yourself home. Unless you're towing on a trailer.
And what if you have a problem with, say you break something? Do you have your tools with you for that? Stuff like that is to consider. Our next one here is what are the risks going to be? I mean, like we said, a long trip. You're on that long trip. What type of wheeling are you doing can determine what you might break or might not break.
Mm-hmm.
Are you alone with someone? Can you split up some of that gear responsibility? Because if you're in a group, that will help with some things. Like someone brings the
salsa.
Someone else brings the Blackstone, and someone else brings the scuttle,
Yeah.
and then some other guy brings a pizza oven.
A pizza oven. Whoop whoop.
Sounds like my type of overland trip.
Yeah.
You wait till next year. It can only get better.
Uh-oh. What are we doing next year?
Bigger explosions, even better food.
Okay. You're really setting a tall order. I better start looking for new kitchen gadgets.
Well, maybe we need to bring the Rivian out there with the induction cooking.
There we go.
If we're cooking for everybody, we'd burn that thing down so fast.
Yeah.
The battery, yeah.
Let's see. We need a generator with us to charge it up. Cell coverage. Are you going to have that? Do you have a satellite communicator like a Garmin or a Spot? How much food and water do you need? Those are all very important questions, and all that stuff takes up space. And sometimes you need to divvy up some of those with some variants. So we'll start off here with shovels. Are you in sand, snow, dirt, rock? Do you want a wood handle or a metal handle? Weight is everything, right? And durability is another thing. Do you want a long one, a short one, a folding one? I mean, that's all things to consider. Because if you have a standard shovel on your roof, that's going to take up a lot of space. And are you going to be able to fit your rooftop tent up there with that? So you might want to go to a smaller one.
Well, so yeah, let's talk about shovels. Ben, you've got a fancy
Demos.
shovel, the Demos, yeah, which worked good in the sand.
Yep.
It might work okay if it's not icy snow, if it's just like fluffy snow.
Fluffy snow, it works really good. I've done that.
Yeah. But it definitely won't, the Demos you have definitely won't work in rock. And I don't think it works that well in dirt.
No, it's garbage and dirt.
Potentially very soupy mud, but
Yeah, I guess you could drag soupy mud away. Yeah. So let's talk about a pointed shovel. So I rock that Fiskars all metal one. So it's all metal. That means it's heavy and it's full length, but it does great with dirt. It does great with kind of rocky soil. It'll work decent in snow. You can move sand with it, but not as easily as you can move sand with the Demo shovel. So
yeah. And if you're Tim mentions here rarely carries a shovel because it's all rock.
Yeah. Hard to dig if it's rock.
Hard
especially
to dig if it's rock. You'll need a pickaxe for that.
Yeah. So
now I want to see somebody stuck on bottomed out on some rock and they break out the pickaxe.
ding, 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 ding.
Been working on
yeah. So let's get back to shovels real quick. There's one more use for a shovel besides your vehicle being stuck, and that's for going to the bathroom, which we talked about a few episodes back. And the Demo shovel that you have, Ben, is not good for digging a hole to poop in.
No, not at all.
Unless you're pooping in sand
or snow.
Yeah. Well, no, because you want to get under the snow into the soil by 6 inches. So
that is true. That is true. And that top layer is frozen.
Yeah. So, but this is where a folding shovel can really shine, because not only can you dig your hole with a folding shovel, but you can turn that head 90 degrees and you can use it to sit on, at least one cheek to sit on it. Oh yeah, Jeremy, I'll give you a demonstration next time we're out.
I don't want a demonstration.
Oh yeah, I'll give you a demonstration. They work, honestly, they work really good for that. So, and other things, the folding shovels, they're terrible. Honestly, they don't move very much material. But when you do turn the head 90 degrees, you can use that to drag stuff out from underneath your truck too. Which I've done before. It's kind of like a hoe to dig out from underneath. So that's kind of one of the pluses of the folding shovel. But beyond that, folding shovels are pretty worthless, but they do take up very little space. They weigh less. So
yeah. So if you're really trying to if you're really trying to maximize your space, that's where a folding shovel comes in handy, especially if you've got like a 2-door JK.
Eric says sitting on a metal shovel when it's cold, pass. When it's gotta happen and you're snow camping and it's 20 degrees outside, just grin and bear it. Literally bear it and
Yeah, and you don't
Get it
want to
done.
poop in your camp. I mean, nobody
Never
wants.
had a problem with pooping without having to sit on something, Aaron.
maybe it's a luxury that you just haven't experienced yet. It's super nice. I recommend 5 stars.
Aaron is old. You got to remember that. I don't know if he can squat.
I forget that I'm the youngest in this podcast by a fairly wide margin.
I also have a bidet at my house, and
I mean, I can't blame you for that one. I
just-
wish I had a bit.
yeah.
No.
see,
Yeah.
okay, well, maybe you're missing all of the magic. There's more magic to be had.
Well, you could get a portable bidet for snow camping if you want.
Yeah, we're
There-
gonna build an overlanding bidet. That's for sure.
There is one. There's a wand.
Little, they have little portable squeeze bottle ones.
No, I want hot water powered,
Hot water.
pressurized.
Okay, I'm gonna get a pressure washer, and that'll.
All right. Well, we're kind of literally going in the weeds here. So
All right.
The toilet.
Let's talk other stuff. Straps. How many do you need? How long are they? Do you need a kinetic strap like a Bubba rope? Do you need a static rope like a tow strap?
Just use ratchet straps to tow vehicles out. Is that good?
If you like to live dangerously and tie lots of knots and hoping that it works, but generally not. But I mean, a ratchet strap is a strap that you may need to tie down some gear.
yeah, it absolutely it's a gear tie down. I did use one of those 2-inch wide bigger ratchet straps one time to slide the back end of my truck around to work myself around a tree. So it can be done.
Oh, we used a ratchet strap with the
Stink bug, yeah.
stink bug when we were trying to get it off that stump.
So
And
it works.
and you can use ratchet straps for fixing things. We used a ratchet
Yeah.
to fix my when my drag link came.
Oh yes.
And that
well, and if you
off,
if
yeah.
you saw that video that's going around Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram where the dude's driving with his I think it's like a full size truck, and he's got the log ratchet strapped to his axle, and he's driving out of the woods with that because his axle broke. So
Yeah. So yeah, ratchet straps are viable, and they actually don't take up much space. You could have 2 or 3 of them in there. I mean, you
Yeah.
can buy a 4-pack at Harbor Freight for $8.99 when they're on sale, so they aren't very costly either.
and like
So-
a static strap, I mean, having your 20 or 30-foot strap, because I mean, if you got to get flat towed out, it's always nice, and you don't want to drag that kinetic rope out.
Yeah,
It's-
you can buy cheap versions of those too if you the tow rope portion or the tow strap, so
Yeah.
that way when you do drag it, it gets ruined. You don't feel so bad.
Yep, that's when it turns. I don't know. I wait till my straps kind of get a little afraid, and then they become trash straps, and that's when we're dragging trees and stuff with them.
Yeah. Tim says that a lot of things work on the stink bug that don't work on a full size rig. Custom made lift blocks, for example. I don't know. I've seen some custom made lift blocks for full size rigs that, well, I guess maybe they shouldn't have them. So maybe that's your proof in the pudding. I don't know.
Yeah. Though I will say, like a Bubba rope, mine takes up a good chunk of space compared to all the other straps. They fold flat and all that, so they're a little chunky. But I think that's one of those pieces of gear that you can almost call a requirement nowadays with how versatile it is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can use it to tow, and it's great for recovery. I mean, there's the snatch straps and all that. So,
Yeah.
and can't forget about another type of strap, but that's later.
Yeah. Save it.
Well, let's talk something else that's kind of that needed piece of gear, but it can take up a lot of space depending upon what you got, and that would be the jack. One thing to consider with that is a jack base.
Who's Jack?
Why
Why does he have to ride with us?
Well, if you buy used tires like a member of the crew here, and you love to go through tires.
Can confirm, considering that the first time I went wheeling with him, he blew a tire out.
I've blown a tire with both of you.
Yep. Yay.
The look of shame on their faces. So yeah, you've got several different types of jacks here. You've got a bottle jack, which is very nice and compact. A floor jack, which is big, very loud as you drag it across the ground. But probably one of the best for lifting, for people to use while working in the garage and all that. An exhaust jack, which Aaron finds not very effective, and I've never used one. I think they would work good in sand and snow.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason why you never see anybody talk about them or use them. They just must not work that well.
And then the high lift jack, which I've used a high lift jack a couple times, and it's worked pretty good. And have to excuse me here for a minute.
Yeah. So yeah, there's different types of jacks, like we're talking about, and you can use them for different things too. Thanks for hanging out, Eric. Have a good night. The high lift jack, not only can it be used to lift, but it can also be used to pull or separate things. You can pry things apart. You can pull things together.
Or clamp things together.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you're right. You could clamp. I had never thought about that. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, congratulations, Tim, on your first ever. I'm surprised that it's your first ever, especially in the hood that you used to live in. Let's talk winches. There's a lot in the winches category, sponsored by Warren. The first one would be shackles, which you can get from Warren. There's a couple different styles there. You can get soft shackles or the D-ring. Some people call them bow shackles, which would be the metal ones. So why would you want to choose one or the other? Well, the soft shackles are lightweight and very, very strong, but they can get rubbed the wrong way. So it's always a good idea to have maybe two D-rings.
Also, they don't fit in every single toe point as well.
Yeah, and if that toe point is not chamfered, then they'll break too.
Yeah,
which is I think what Jeremy meant by them not going to the right toe point, right?
No, so sometimes they don't fit because
if
you look, a soft shackle is a bit wider in diameter than just a bow shackle pin.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yep. So, but like we were mentioning, I'm going to just take it all the way back to the beginning here. If you're going with other people, like we talked about, it sounded like we were joking, but when we go snow camping, we split gear up like kitchen duties and things like that. We were talking about the different things we bring for the kitchen. Have one person bring or two people bring jacks, and have maybe only one person brings the metal bow shackles, and one person brings a shovel of each type or something like that. You don't have to have every single rig with a shovel.
Yeah. Some gear though you will want to double up on, straps, for instance. That's something we had, winch line extension, which we don't have on here.
Yeah, we do.
Did we?
It's in there. Yep.
No.
Oh, I just missed. I can't read. Sorry.
Yep.
But
well, so that's
a good point though. When you're snow camping, you can never have too many extensions.
Yeah.
At least where we were.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, there's been times there was one time we were out wheeling and I think it wasn't us because we came up upon the group ahead of us, but we donated some winch extensions to the cause because there was a big snow drift, and it was probably about 7 or 8 winch extensions to get to the nearest winch point.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of winching right there.
Well, I mean, it was just to get through the snow drift, but
yeah,
the snow drift is only like 10 feet, but
oh, I got you.
Vehicle through it took, it was probably like something like 800 feet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Gotcha. Well, then once that rig's on the other side, people can winch off of him rather than
Right.
dealing with 800 feet of line. Yeah. Well, the next item in the winch department here is a line dampener or damper. I'm not sure why I always add an N in damper, but those everybody should have one. There's no reason not to carry one per rig. Sometimes when you are winching, you may set up a pulley block and you need two, so you go to your buddy and you get that second one, unless you have two on your rig. So,
And
or
if for
multiple
some reason
winching.
you're short or you haven't got one yet, you can use a coat and a tool bag to help weigh
Absolutely.
it down.
Mhm.
But you do need something that you can use as one, so you need to know what that is.
Yeah. So the next item here is the extension, which we just talked about. If you're running synthetic line, I guess I should say, even if you're not running synthetic line, you could have a synthetic extension, which won't take up a lot of space and it won't weigh a lot.
Yeah. And it, depending upon what you're doing, you might not need one. I mean, if you're mall crawling or, you're doing Forest Service roads, you might not necessarily need that extension. And you can use a strap as a alternative extension, but that's only 20 feet versus, or 20, 30 feet versus, I think what my extension's 50 or 75 feet.
Well, also, when you say use a strap, you have to be very careful. It has to be a static strap, cannot be kinetic. So it would be your tow rope, not your bubber rope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it needs to be rated at whatever your winch is able to pull at.
It's generally going to be rated for that if you're
Or more.
using it for your vehicle.
Unless you're using tow strap or something dumb.
Yeah, the
So,
Walmart hook strap. Don't use
yeah,
that.
the hook strap. Yeah, the hook straps are like rated for 3,000 or 4,000 pounds.
Those are good
So-
for the road, nothing else.
Yeah. So I mentioned it earlier, snatch block. I would say that you only need one of these, especially if you're in a group. Maybe you don't need. Maybe every other rig brings one because they can weigh a lot. Unless you get those little rings, they weigh less. They're a lot more compact.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I actually have two in my kit. But I use synthetic, so I kind of, it's like, hey, there's enough room in here. I lost enough weight cutting down on my shackles and all
Yeah.
that I can have fit that extra snatch block.
Yep. A bridle is gonna not take up a lot of space. Usually they're only 6, 8, 10 feet long. A land anchor. Now there's only two real versions of this. There's the metal land anchors and then there's the dead man. Those metal land anchors are heavy. They're definitely bulky. I've still yet to see anybody that I know wheel and have one wheeling ever. I've just never seen them used.
I've no, and that's the thing is, like, here in the Pacific Northwest, I don't really think there's much of a use for them. I mean, I
Yeah.
can see the dead man coming in handy with some snow wheeling, but you're going to do a lot of digging. And that's just, you're in a really crappy spot, and that's when it's a good point. Maybe you're alone in a really crappy spot, or no one can get around you. But like, I know like the Alaska Off-Road Warriors with the mud stuff they were dealing with, and then being in like the sand dunes, I think Mercedes used hers, which we can
No, I
also-
think I think they had one, but they didn't use it.
Oh, because they never got stuck. So, yeah, I think it just comes down to when it's a good time and a good place, and being in
Yeah.
the dunes might be a good place
Yep.
for you. Versus,
It's got to be appropriate for your type of wheeling. That's what this is all about. Your wheeling. And the last one in the winch category is the winch line repair kit. We talked about this when we had Factor 55 on a few weeks back. The Fast Fid doesn't take up much space. It's like the size of two chopsticks in a custom chopstick carrying case, basically. So doesn't weigh
Yeah.
anything.
And
Tuck it anywhere.
that could really save your recovery.
Yeah. Yes, you can do it other ways, but this is super simple, not expensive. Yeah.
Let's talk here about recovery points, what they are, if you need to add them. Like you've got your factory OEM recovery points, which are not necessarily rated, but are they safe?
And they might be rated to tow the vehicle out, but they might not be rated for shock loading
Yeah.
the vehicle out.
So it's really important to know, and depending upon your trip, risk. A hitch shackle, I think those are pretty handy to have as long as you have a hitch to use. If you don't have a hitch, it's pretty worthless. And so you better have some aftermarket bumper recovery points with an aftermarket bumper if you don't have that hitch one.
We got a Facebook user that says, I can do the same thing with a Bic cap and a little electrical tape. Yep, absolutely you can. But like I was saying, this tool is not very expensive and doesn't take up a lot of space. And it'll always be with you. And I guarantee it will be better using this tool than with a jury rig setup like a Bic cap or pin and some tape. So
yeah, and it's best what's in. If a Bic cap and electrical tapes what you feel is best for you, then rock on with it. Sometimes it'll be easier for other people to have stuff that has instructions if they don't know, for the better of them. And then this next one's here's traction boards. Aaron, have you ever successfully used your traction boards?
yeah, I have.
How many times?
Probably about 40% of the time.
40% of the time.
40% of the time I get out 100% of the time.
Yeah, so I mean we've tried recovering with traction boards and had problems, and we might have been them wrong. And sometimes they work. Are you going to need traction boards for a Forest Service road? More than likely.
Only to look cool. Only to look cool.
Unless
Unless you want to use them for bridging because of a washout or something. If you've got traction boards that are rated for bridging, not all of them are. Travis says they're great for leveling a vehicle at camp. Absolutely. Tim says go Seahawks. I think you're watching the wrong show, Tim. This is the Off-Road Podcast. We're not doing sports ball. Apparently, Jeremy's now doing sports ball. He just put a Seahawks hat on.
I've been following the game as we've been going.
Yeah. But like Ben said, the traction boards have worked and they also haven't worked. So if you have them, bring them with you, find out the situations they don't work. And then when you go on those types of trips, don't bother bringing them because you know they won't work for that situation. So,
yeah, it really comes down to, are you rock? I don't think rock crawling with traction boards is necessarily something. Would you need traction boards in Moab? Probably not.
No, because all the traction is already there.
It does snow in Moab occasionally.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to be digging yourself.
Yeah. I could see you using them on some of the trails where it's not just slick rock, as a ramp or as a. Honestly, I don't see them being used for bridging because they're short enough that anything in Moab is going to be driving across whatever you bridge. So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the other stuff is you just stack rocks, like Tim's saying here.
Yeah.
No, he's saying you use the traction boards when you don't have any more rocks to stack.
Oh, well, dyslexia wins again.
I don't think that's dyslexia, but
my lack of reading skills. Yeah, that's dyslexia.
Backward comprehension.
Yes.
Yes.
Ugh. Yeah. Caveman dumb.
On to tires. You got to have that spare tire. I mean,
what?
But
What? You need a full size spare?
I mean, it usually helps. You don't need. Need is relative. I mean, if you have a
Yeah.
trailer and you're just at an ORV park,
Mm-hmm.
you
You
probably
might
don't
not need a spare.
have a spare tire with you, but
Or, or like we talked, if you're in a group and it's the Toyota 4th Gen 4Runner run, and everybody, because they're basic, has the same size tire, same brand tire, same offset wheels. Only one person needs a spare.
Man, I'm the black sheep in that crowd. -38. Granted, I am on 33-inch tires, but they're mud trains. They're not Vulcans or KO2s.
Tim wins. He said Colby valves.
yep.
Good job, Tim.
I throw that in the tire repair kit.
Yeah.
So you need a tire repair kit, obviously. I mean, I think pretty much any type of wheeling you're doing, you need a tire repair kit.
At a minimum.
And you need some way to air up and air down.
Yeah.
Whether that's an air compressor, a CO2 tank, you got monster valves.
Well,
the
if
ARP.
you don't need a way to air down if you trailer and you show up aired down and you leave at the same pressure.
Yeah, that is true.
That is true.
Yeah.
But having a way to air up if you lose a bead or whatnot is definitely a necessity.
Yep.
Because yes, you can run on 0 air in the tire, but if you have no bead and you need to rebead it,
Yeah. Or you throw your spare tire on.
Yeah. And then you and Tim saying head to the gas station and put air in it, and you'll be all right. But you'll have cup tires by the time you get back.
Well, I've run with people out here near Browns Camp, and there's a gas station not too far from Browns Camp. So people air down, they wheel all day, then they leave Browns Camp and they drive on the highway for 10, 15 minutes, and they air up at the gas station. I mean, we did it when we were in Christmas Valley. We drove all over with aired down tires.
Yeah.
So
as long as you have a spare tire with air in it, though.
Yeah. Make sure you're checking. That's part of maintenance, Ben.
Oh, wait, what maintenance? I'm supposed to check my spare tire?
Yeah.
Yes, it's still there. I just looked,
We didn't mention, but there's different types of air compressors. There's cheap ones that plug in. There's super expensive twin ones. You could have a reservoir in case you wanted to run air tools.
Well, not all of them are electric either. You can get some belt-driven ones.
Yeah, or a bicycle pump.
Oh,
you can be awesome and have a power tank and be the first one aired up and wondering what's taking everyone else so long. And then you get bored and start airing them up.
I think we need to make a bet for the next time we all meet up and go wheeling together. And whoever loses has to air up one of my 40s with the bicycle pump.
Oh man, my back and shoulders are already hurting.
Yeah.
Just don't
just thinking about it.
Well,
yeah, just don't lose.
We'll say whoever drives into the most ditches and can't get themselves out.
Yeah.
Go away. I got this. Leave me alone, Jeremy. Stop trying to pull me out of the ditch. And then here's this next thing is do you need this? Do I need a chainsaw? You're on a long trip and you're going to Moab. I don't think there's many trees you're going to need to cut out of your way in Moab. Or it's the middle of August here in Washington. Most all of the trails are cleared. Probably not going to need a chainsaw.
I'd still bring it in Washington. Absolutely. I don't know. I guess I overpack, but I just don't want to take that chance of being most of the way down a trail and there was wind last weekend and no one's been down the trail since and a tree blew across it.
I mean, I think it just depends upon the situation and the time of year and where you're going, though.
Now that Eric from Oklahoma isn't on anymore, we can say, well, if you live in Oklahoma, you won't need a chainsaw because there's no trees.
Yeah. In Texas or Arizona, I'm sure they don't have trees there either.
Yeah.
I mean, they
They
have
just don't grow
I
quick
just
enough.
don't think they're in enough density to actually matter if one blows down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could always trade that off for an axe. It takes a lot longer to chop a tree and then winch it out of your way. So
Yeah.
an
Tim,
alternate-
Tim has added some did you needs here in the comments. He says refrigerator, air conditioning, rock lights, limb risers, things like that.
Yeah, well, and he's talking about guys in Arizona with limb risers. I
Mhm.
don't think you need them that badly. Here, going down. What was that? What's the one up by Chelan?
The junk.
The jungle. That was a spot Jeremy actually pulled out his limb risers, right?
No, I don't think he did, but I don't think even limb risers in that dense really helps that much.
No, not much at all. First aid kit. If you're me, you need to carry one with you every day, every place, because you never know when
I'm surprised you don't have one of those ankle kits yet.
I'm kind of surprised I don't have one now that I think about it. That probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Just, I mean, keep one of those the Advil duos, where it's Tylenol and ibuprofen in one, and then like
The
a split.
Medical Gear Outfitters has a good boo-boo kit, and they actually have a good pocket
Mhm.
kit.
Yep. I'm kind of surprised I don't have one. I might have to go buy one now, and I know where I'll go.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it also depends on the type of wheeling or trip you're doing is going to kind of drive what type of first aid kit you get.
Yeah,
And
that
how
is very
how big the first aid kit will be. Yeah.
Yeah, and did you custom build it or did you buy one that's pre-built? And do you need to get some more stuff for it because you didn't get the off-road podcast designed kit there on?
Yeah.
Go get the one from Medical Gear Outfitters.
Yeah. And get 10% off.
Yes. Yeah. And
Not an ad at all.
And then when you use things because you're Ben, you just get refills from them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it really comes down to like what's in it. Like Dietrich had never thought of a tick remover as part of something in a first aid kit, and that's what that kit has. It's those things you don't think about. Rattlesnake anti-venom. That's kind of I don't have very many rattlesnakes here in Western Washington, so not something I'll need, but probably might be a good idea to get sooner or later. Though I think
They're coming for you.
They're coming for me now. I mentioned them. And here's something that everyone should have, and it's gloves.
Yeah, these need to be in your kit.
Because these right here, most important tools you have. It helps you open the door, helps you drive, helps you recover yourself.
Helps you go potty.
Yep, helps you go potty.
Imagine having to ask somebody to help you go to the bathroom for the rest of your life because you didn't put gloves on.
Yeah. Having to dig that latrine because you don't want to poop all over your campsite. That would be terrible. I'm just so many different things that you need those hands for, and they are the only set you'll ever have. Yes, they have prosthetics out there, but they'll never work like the originals.
It's very true.
It's not yet.
Not yet. I mean, you give it a couple, couple decades. I'm sure they might have ones that work as well, but it's going to be a while. And who wants the replacements when you can have the originals? This next one's kind of important too.
Is it spare fluids? Because when your brakes are leaking on a snow camping trip and you have to bum some brake fluid off of some random stranger.
Yes.
From everybody at camp.
Yes.
And then find a random stranger on the way down the mountain.
Yes. It helps to have your fluids. Yeah. You should always refill those after you use them too. Because
your brake fluid.
Yeah, like if you use it and then like, hey, I need some more.
I have
my kit.
No, my brake fluid is part of a sealed system, so when I use it, it stays in there. It doesn't come out.
What? You don't refill your brake Weekly?
It's not a consumable typically.
It's
Oh, wow.
not usually.
Man, I was starting to wonder why I got weird looks and they knew when I was coming in. They're like, "Oh, you need some brake fluid, Ben?" Makes sense.
You put that. You buy that on Amazon and click the thing where it's a subscription to brake
Yes.
fluid.
Yes,
But don't worry, he can stop at any time.
Yeah.
anytime.
Also, did you ever bleed that? Because it probably soaked up some air from that.
I actually replaced my brake lines completely, and it turned out it was a cylinder on the brakes,
Caliper.
the
Yeah.
calipers. So I had to replace calipers too. So I
Yeah.
got new brake lines, calipers, and
What I'm not hearing is him saying, "Yes, I bled the brakes after I did all this."
well, when you replace a brake line, everything behind it drains out. So yes, I have completely brand new brake fluid twice over because I had to change out 2 calipers.
Yeah. Did the wrong side first. I remember.
Yeah, it was quite
Go, Ben.
no. I gotta say that was not my fault. That was their fault because they ordered the wrong part.
But you blindly installed it?
No, I brought it home and then looked at it. I'm like, hey, this is on the wrong side. That happened twice. And I went back and I was a little upset. And then I had to go drive to Sumner instead of Bonnie Lake to get the right one. And then they laughed at me.
Well, the next item here is a toolkit. So, like we're talking here, it needs to be appropriate to what you are doing. And if you're only going to the OHV park and you brought a trailer and you break something really bad, you just need enough gear to get you back to your trailer. You take it back to your house, you load it, unload it, whatever. You don't need a giant toolbox full of things. But if you are going to Iceland and you're going to be very remote and there's no trailer to pick you up, you might want tools that will work for every nut and bolt in your rig.
So are you going to want standard sockets or metric or both?
That depends on your vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. You only need enough to do your vehicle unless you want to be a sweetheart and have the opposite of what you have so you can help other people on the trail.
Well, that's also something you got to kind of think about when you're putting aftermarket parts on your vehicle is use hardware that's going to be fit within your toolkit.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know I've put some SAE fasteners on my Jeep that has most of the metrics.
it's because it's Italian. Bibidabapa. Yeah, spare fuel. There's another one right there. Are you going to the ORV park? Are you gonna need spare fuel? Fuel. Spool. Yeah. Or are you overlanding and you don't need any because there's a gas station in every 25 feet?
You mean mall crawling?
Yeah. Oh, is that what that is? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it like
when
where-
you head into Rigs and Coffee, you don't need to get gas.
yeah,
Just enough gas to get there and back.
And
you don't need a full tank.
You mean you don't need to carry 2 jerry cans with you?
No.
Nope. But you're going on that long trip across the desert to go to Moab and rock crawl all day, and you're worried you might run out of gas. It might help to have a spare tank or
Absolutely.
10 gallons, 5 gallons.
How about spare parts?
All the spare parts.
Yeah.
Just bring a spare
If-
rig with you.
If it's Ben's vehicle or a Jeep, you need all the spare parts. If it's a
Ooh.
Nissan, just one axle every once in a while.
Yeah, and extra bolts too, nuts and bolts, especially commonly used ones.
Yeah. There's a makeout session going on right now in our YouTube chat. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right. Facebook user says even more important if you are a diesel rig and have spare fuel, as a majority are gasoline. It's hard to beg off of others. Yeah, absolutely. And not all gas stations have diesel out in the remote areas too. So
or deaf.
Yeah, that's true. Or deaf. Just delete it.
Should definitely delete that.
But we did not recommend that here on the Off Road Podcast because the EPA said so. That's a bad thing to do, and
Yeah.
we must follow everything that the government says every time, every second, because we trust them.
What's our last one here?
Wow, I
over.
can hear you all the way from Oregon
Yeah, I'm talking
on that antenna.
I'm talking on my Baofeng. Well, it's because it's a long one. See, look how far it goes. It's still going.
Still going. Wow.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's a long one.
Oh, Eric here is saying maybe a spare airbag, Aaron.
Ouch! Ouch! Woo! That stings a little.
Just a little.
Just a
Well, my ears hurt from it going off. So yes, my ears. So yeah, communication is the last one. So, and this all depends on the group of people you're going with, or if you're not going with any people at all. So, we mentioned earlier satellite communicator or cell coverage. If you don't have those and you're going to be in a group, you might want a CB, a GMRS, an FRS, a ham radio for listening if you're not licensed, things like that.
And you really don't want to be the guy that embarrasses yourself. Wow. Spare firewood. Keep your trailer heavy enough so that it won't flip over. That is very important right there.
And also just heavy enough that you break an axle.
Yes.
Oh man, 2 zingers in one. Oof. Yeah.
Man,
Don't be
Eric,
that guy that overloads his trailer. So I guess this episode is geared for me, how to choose your off-road kit so you don't break your off-road trailer.
Or flip it.
Communicate. So CB, know what your group's taking, because if you've got a CB in your radio and everybody else is on ham, you're not going to hear what they're saying, and so it's kind of useless. So know what if you're with people, know what they're running. Have something that can reach out. So having a ham radio or the or a satellite communicator or a new iPhone. I hear something's going on with the Androids too, so they'll be able to send out a call for help.
Yeah, through satellite. Pretty nifty. That'll probably be one of our news stories coming up.
Yep. So it really comes down to, hey, what's your group running? So you have the same stuff they are, or if you're running by yourself, how you can communicate with people around you to help you if you need that help. I know some of the Forest Service roads, if they're logging it, they'll post a sign that says log trucks channel 11, and you kind of want to listen to that, so because they report what corners they're coming around, and it sucked to not hear or see a log truck coming around the corner, and it's really narrow, and he's going to have a hard time stopping.
Tim says that should have been part of our news section, the Apple 14. And actually, Tim, that is a news story for next week. So you are like looking into the future, my man.
And then something I saw when I went wheeling with John from Rainier Arms, I totally forgot to put my radio back in my rig, and he brought a radio, and I didn't have my spare FRS radios in the rig or anything, so we had no form of communication between the rigs. So that's when we had to use classic signaling, flashing headlights, hands out the window, horn honking,
finger
signals, yeah, like hey, so it really, it helps when you can communicate. So do you need a spare? It might be worth having like a spare handheld or two, just in case someone's dies or gets broken. It's especially with like those cheap Baofengs, it's not that hard for one to fall out of your rig or end up in Koi's rig and or Aaron's rig or Jeremy's. I don't remember where my radio ended up. Or was that something else? Oh, was that winch controller?
No, that was your satellite communicator.
Yeah, there we go. My satellite communicator.
No, you dropped that in the snow, and Aaron picked it up and gave it to me.
So there we go. See, so having alternative extra communications help.
Yep. You could use flags also. Is that called Semaphore or something like that, where you move the flags around?
Really
Something
hard
like
to do when you're driving down the road.
Yeah.
Very.
It's probably hard to do without driving, honestly. So, yeah, especially when you don't know what it means or how to do it.
Yeah, and you're trying to stare out the window. What's he saying?
Yeah.
Use your horn for some Morse code.
Boop, 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 boop. Well, thanks everybody for sticking in there. Appreciate all the comments this week. It was fun hanging out with you guys. I'm glad you guys didn't have to get a room. You toned it down there in the comment section. It's nice to have you there. Make sure you're sharing us with your friends. Check us out on YouTube. All the places you can find us. We appreciate you guys. So also don't forget to check out our patches. Offroadpodcast at paypal.com is where you could send some of those monies, and then don't forget to put your address in there so we can get it shipped to you. So you're welcome for not having Coy back, but I know that you miss him a lot. So God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren, Medical Gear Outfitters, and Colby Valve to see all their great gear. We're a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a comment or question? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.net or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe, and courteous. Thanks for listening.
So the comment of the night's this one right here. Same with your hair, only there to protect you from the elements. That's why Ben and Coy get away with not running any.
Zing.